On the show in Wheelspin, we take a look at the new Volvo XC90. In Wheelspin, we drive the Mercedes CLS 350. And on the track, we participate in Mahindra's off-road trophy.
The XC90 has been one proud car in Volvo's portfolio. And not only that, it has also been the cash cow for them, grossing over 30% of the global sales. But then the XC60 came along and the XC90 lost some of its sheen, but together they contributed about 35% of the global sales. But then it was time for change in Volvo. Volvo got taken over by the Chinese manufacturer Geely, and they infused the company with a lot of funds, and it was time to design new platforms and come out with new products. And what we see is a new XC90 which is just about to be launched in a few moments from now, and I am here outside of Stockholm to witness the rebirth of the XC90.
After almost 14 years since its launch, long time by automotive industry standards, but then Volvo was not in the best of health either. It was only in 2010 when the Chinese Geely took over from the previous owner Ford that things began to happen. And the first product is this, born with Chinese parentage but with true Scandinavian breeding. A rather unusual mix, but then expectations run high and it is time to see the result.
This is the brand new XC90, and as you can see, it's a complete departure from what the old XC90 was. The lights, the grills, the front design, the rear, the interiors, everything has changed. But perhaps the biggest change is what lies under the bonnet. The company has based this car on what they call the scalable product architecture or the SPA design. And this tells you what you can expect from Volvo in the future. On the same platform, on the same architecture, you will have different cars and different body shapes coming out of Volvo. And this is in fact an effort to build a new brand identity for the brand here.
This new XC90 is a product of the new design platform that Volvo has come up with, and they call it the SPA, the Scalable Product Architecture, which means that many products can be built using the same platform, and this in the future would be the key to building different body shapes and new models, keeping the cost in check. The XC90 is the first product on this platform.
If you happen to walk around the XC90 and finally come to the rear part of the car, I'm sure you're going to like it immensely. The twin chromed exhaust is really nice, gives you a sense of big power, and these sculpted tail lights. Volvo has always had very nice striking tail lights, but I think in this car, they have really done a wonderful job and taken it a few steps ahead. I think it's one of the prettiest rear ends of a SUV that I've ever seen. What you will find under this bonnet is also a big departure from what Volvo has been giving you for so many years. Gone is the big bad V8. Now it is replaced by a 4-cylinder engine. It comes from the new family of engines that Volvo has developed internally. It's called the Drive series, and they are all 4-cylinder. But mind you, that's not a bad thing because it builds out a lot of power. And if you really go and try and buy this XC90, you will get an engine with various states of tune, starting from the 190 brake horsepower base to the more powerful 400 brake horsepower engine. What it has done is that the 4-cylinder engines have become much more fuel efficient, while as it has not compromised on the power output. So this, the company says, will be as much fun to drive as a bigger V8, and the carbon emissions too have come down. So overall, this is a good thing to do.
The attempt here for Volvo has been not only to find a new design language along with a platform for many future products, but also to find a solution to what goes under the hood, the engine. And this is where much work has been done. The solution is a 4-cylinder engine down from the 6 and the 8 that has been used earlier to cut down on size, weight and emissions, and at the same time increase in the fuel efficiency. What about performance, you might ask? The company claims that this is on par with the bigger engine blocks. A look at the spec sheet will make you agree. The top one hits the 100km mark in 6.9 seconds and produces 600 Newton meters of torque. Apart from this, Volvo has also produced the twin engine, which is a combination of a smaller 4-cylinder block along with an electric motor, which supplements the power. Brilliant combination of a conventional gasoline engine and electrification.
As to be expected, the interiors of this XC90 has also transformed itself. And not only transformed itself, it has become a much better looking car. It looks a whole lot more classy with a nice leather wrapped steering wheel, a touchstone screen here which is really large and very easy to read. And what really impresses me is the way things are planned here. It has become much more usable, it's become a lot more functionable, easier to look at all the information that you have here, for example. So just touch it, and even while you're driving, you don't have to take your eyes off the road, and this has made this car so much safer. And it also looks a lot more classier with dual tone leather wrapped fascia, a digital instrumentation, panoramic sunroof here, and it's the audio system here which really takes the cake. 19 speakers, it's one of the best quality I've ever had. This little gear lever also has a bit of crystal here to add to that feeling of class. Overall, the interiors really impress me. Well, what I see in this new XC90 really impresses me. It has changed the game for the better. This is one level ahead of the existing XC90 for sure. But I still haven't driven it, so I will pass a complete judgment on it as and when I get to drive it. The big question is, when do we get to see this in India? My answer to that question is somewhere around March or April of next year. So if you're looking for a big, powerful, well-made SUV, be patient and wait till then.
Well, all this will not come in cheap, and that's where the potential Volvo owners in India will lose out, as the company still hasn't come with a solution like CKD operation to bring the price down in the Indian market. So Volvo will be an expensive car, but then you get a whole new world of motoring extravaganza if you do decide to pay for it. And honestly, things don't get much better than this.
Sometimes when you choose to buy a luxury car, you might be forced to trade off the performance part of the car, because there are many luxury cars which gives you top-notch luxury, but they lack in terms of performance. And this need not be so. In fact, today I have a car with me, the Mercedes CLS 350, which gives you everything in abundance: luxury, style, and of course, performance.
The CLS was relaunched in India recently in its new form, with some changes like the new diamond silver color, a set of 18-inch alloys with 15 spokes, a better reversing camera, Bluetooth syncing with your iPhone, and now the G-Tronic's gearbox has a gear shift display to help you drive better to conserve fuel. And a manual mode has been added to the gearbox to help you achieve those gear shifts even faster. Not a whole lot of changes, you might say, and we tend to agree. But even these few things have only added to the car and made it even better.
When the CLS was launched some years ago, there were quite a few raised eyebrows. A luxury car styled like a coupe with a sloping roofline. Well, these were not the design elements that Mercedes was known for till then. But with time and experience, things change. And today, most of the people quite like the CLS. As for me, I quite like it. The sloping roofline notwithstanding, even in a luxury car.
The CLS was the first car in the Mercedes portfolio to have LED lights, and also the first four-door car shaped like a coupe. Mercedes' first attempt to combine luxury with sleek lines and make a sporty sedan. And as to be expected, it did generate its share of likes and dislikes, but overall the CLS must have found favors to be around this long.
The interiors of the CLS is exactly what you'd expect from Mercedes-Benz. Classy, comfortable, well-appointed, with some leather, a touch of wood on the fascia, large dial instrumentation with chrome surrounds, which is easy to read, and a steering wheel which is leather-wrapped and feels very good to hold. Okay, all very typically Mercedes, and that's where I see it's a bit of a letdown, because if we look at the CLS from outside, It distinctly stands out in terms of styling. It looks very good, it looks very classy, and above all, it looks differentiated from other Mercedes products. And this is what I had expected of the interiors as well, that it will stand out from other Mercedes. But it is not so. It lacks a bit in terms of distinct styling, and I think manufacturers need to pay attention to the different products and create a different styling theme inside as well.
The interiors might be well crafted and reek of luxury, but they do lack the flair that one would expect in a car which had broken the design mold in terms of the exteriors. But in terms of space, it offers plenty, and even the boot is generous at 520 litres. So overall, it does provide a rather functional package for everyday use. And the Harman Kardon audio system with 19 speakers will certainly help you take your mind off some mundane matters, should you so desire.
I just love the spec sheet of this car. It is so very clear. It says that this car is meant for 4 people, 2 in the front and 2 in the back here. And this is unlike many other manufacturers who claim that their car is meant for 5 full-grown adults. No, that's not the Mercedes way. They don't want you to cram it with people, and they want you to travel in comfort and style. So only 2 seats here, and these 2 seats are very well endowed, wrapped in good quality leather and very, very comfortable. And you have your personal AC vent here, as well as plenty of space for storage, including a large cubby hole here and place for bottles. And if you bring down this armrest, you will find that there is additional storage here, including space for 2 bottle holders. Pretty neat. In terms of leg space and shoulder room, there is plenty of it. No issues with that. One question that I have been asked many times is what happens to headspace if the car has a sloping roofline? As you can see in this car, there is no problem. There's plenty of it, unless of course you happen to come in a double XL size. If you had decided to buy a sports car and then you went ahead and bought a luxury car, then don't be disappointed, because the moment you slide in behind the wheel of this CLS 350, you will realize that this is more of a sports car disguised as a luxury car. The 3-litre V6 delivers 306 brake horsepower, 370 Newton meters of torque. This V6 unit here is mated to an automatic 7-speed gearbox, which of course performs very well. The shifting is very smooth and you hardly feel the shifts. But if you want to play a race car driver, then it also comes with a sports mode. Press the button here and the action becomes fast and furious. But in this car, you also get an additional manual mode, and you can operate this through the pedal shifts here for upshifting and downshifting. So 3 modes: the Eco for everyday city commute, which maximizes the fuel efficiency, the Sport when you really want to go flat out, and the manual just in case you hate the automatic box. The moment you blip the throttle, you realize that the performance is what this car is all about. The V6 gets you from 0 to 100 in just about 6.1 seconds, and that's fast by any standard. And if something happens to loom up in your mirror for which you don't have much taste, all you have to do is step on the gas. And it doesn't take very long for it to become a distant blur. And the handling too is very good. In this new CLS, you get 18-inch wheels mounted on 15-spoke new alloys. And what this has done is better the grip on road. Even at very high speed, this car really stays planted. And if you want to corner hard, this will take you through the corner quite easily and confidently. This is one car that you can use on an everyday basis. You can not only commute to work every day because this is very comfortable, but also on the weekend you can take it for a long highway cruise.
It easily seats 4 people, has all the luxuries on board and is very comfortable. So if you are looking for a high-end all-purpose car, this CLS 350 will do the job extremely well. The 7-speed G-Tronic Plus gearbox is an efficient one and makes light work of shifting. And in the eco mode, the CLS should deliver you around 9.6 kilometers to a litre, according to the ARI certification. Figures which aren't really that great, and in city traffic you are never actually going to get even remotely close to these figures. And considering that the engine gulps gasoline, it's not going to be a cheap car to run around in for your daily chores. But then I believe if you drive a Mercedes priced as much as this, then this shouldn't really bother you so much. The CLS rides on AIRMATIC suspensions, which gives it a comfortable ride. And yes, I would drive it on an everyday basis for sure, only if I were driving on roads which had no speed breakers, because the ground clearance is just not enough. And if you are not extremely careful, you will hear that heartbreaking sound of the underbelly bottoming out quite audibly.
What happens if you buy the CLS 350? You get a car which is strikingly good looking. Look at the pillarless doors here, the sloping roofline, the LED lamps in the rear and the front, and you know she's gorgeous enough to turn heads your way no matter where you go. Add to this the performance. She is really a driver's car, and if you spend time behind the wheel, you will be very happy with the performance. So she gives you performance, luxury and style. And if this is what you're looking for, then look no further. But remember, she also wears the Mercedes logo up front, so things are not going to be really cheap.
If you decide to park the CLS 350 in your garage, then it will cost you upwards of a little more than 1 crore. But then you do get a car which is certain to make your neighbor take notice of you. Mahindra & Mahindra has been doing the Great Escape event for many years now. But the adventure team has started a new initiative on the sidelines of this event. And what they have done is rather interesting. It's another adventure by itself. It attempts to test your off-roading abilities, or more aptly that of your machine as well. They call it the Off-Road Trophy Championship, and what you need to do to win is, well, not so simple. There is an obstacle course that all participants need to drive through, and if at first sight this looks easy, then you should wait till you put your wheels in it. The course might be short as it is in most off-roading competition, but it's so difficult that only about 10% of the participants manage, and that too with lots of patience and skill, and the vehicles too have to be made for this purpose. The first course entailing going through water, slush and then a little climb, with tires covered in slush providing virtually no traction. And even with the four-wheel drive, sliding sideways was easier than really going up this steep gradient. But there was no lack of enthusiasm, but it was the slush aided by recent rain which got the better of most drivers. Most of the vehicles in the competition were Mahindra Jeeps, but it is essential that you have a four-wheel drive with it as well, and also oversized and big off-road tires on it. A combination of power which these machines churned out in plenty, along with the traction these fat tires provided, was the recipe for negotiating this course. And of course, plenty of experience and driver skill. If this you thought was bad, then you hadn't seen the next course. Seemed simple, all you had to do was come down a hill and then cross the river at the bottom. No problems with that, but the course was far from over yet. You also had to get out of the course, and to do that you had to climb the small hill. And with rain and slush and wet tires, it wasn't going to be easy as it seemed. Again, the tires played a crucial part, and the big and the wider it is, the better the chances of your making it to the other side. First to go was me, and if I thought I was an effective off-roader, then my pride was about to take a big beating. Even going down the slope was not easy, because the moment I plunged into the water, I realized my game plan had gone haywire, as I was already off the intended line. The big pebbles and the stones below the surface of the water didn't provide enough grip, and I slided sideways, losing my line. Consequently, I reversed and tried, but I had lost the momentum and my stock tires didn't make things easy. In spite of the huge torque coming out of the wheels, it refused to grip. In fact, I slid into the second gear to reduce the torque to help increase the grip. But my 3 tries were over even sooner than I thought, and the judge's whistle was a final blow to my already bruised ego. And the result was the winch. The only thing that helped me salvage some of my lost pride was the fact that most of the other competitors too ate humble pie, and the only 2 who made it through had the best of tires in the business. So if you want to go off the beaten path, make sure you have the right tires. But end of the day, it was great fun. And if I have it my way, I would be doing this more often. And I'm really ready for the next one too. So if you feel this way, get your off-roader out and join the gang.